Welcome to this video on creating users in OPERA Cloud. Every person that will be actively using OPERA Cloud to perform day-to-day operations or managing the system must have their own unique user ID. Successfully creating new OPERA Cloud users is a multi-step process. In this video, we will review these multi-step processes. We'll begin with reviewing a few of the user basics, including terms and definitions, user roles, module review, and the new user process overview. We'll introduce you to Identity Manager, where you will learn how to create a new user account, set a temporary password, and assign the necessary user roles. Next, we'll introduce you to Role Manager, where you will learn how to assign additional attributes to the user. And finally, we'll review the user's first login to OPERA Cloud. Let's start with a review of the OPERA Cloud user basics. Let's review a few concepts and definitions that are unique to the setup of OPERA Cloud in the Wyndham environment. We will start with the username. This is required for OPERA Cloud logins and is a combination of the hotel's 5-digit Wyndham site ID number, the user's first full name and last name initial. An example for Joe Smith from site ID 12345 would have a user set as 12345JoeS. Cashier ID are assigned to users requiring cashier access and is used to track all financial postings associated to an individual user. Individuals responsible for check-in or check-out must have a cashier ID assigned to them. Roles are the access permissions granted to individual users based on their job or responsibility at the hotel. And last, the hub defines the OPERA Cloud environment, also known as a chain, that the user belongs to. Let's start with user roles. It is important to understand user roles and their structure. They are a way to classify OPERA Cloud users by their need to access specific features based on their job duties while in the application. Let's review the roles. The Hotel Manager Hotel Administrator role is the only role designated to manage hotel configuration components within OPERA Cloud. The Accounting role is used to assign to individuals responsible for managing accounts receivables, in addition to accounting configuration components. The Front Desk Manager, through the reservation roles, are used to manage the day-to-day guest interactions at the front desk. The Hotel Revenue Manager role is used for individuals responsible for managing the revenue strategy for the hotel. The Reservations Manager role and the ones below are used to manage reservations within OPERA Cloud. The Sales Manager and Sales Department roles are primarily used to manage groups. The Housekeeping Manager and Supervisor roles are primarily used to manage daily housekeeping task assignments. And View Only is assigned when a user does not need edit access, but only view access to the system. Before we continue, it's important to understand that each role is assigned to the user independently. Roles above, or referred to as a parent role, do not contain permissions of the child role. When assigning a user role that has child roles below them, those lower user roles must also be assigned to the user first. As an example, a front desk manager may have the user role of reservations, front desk agent, night audit, front desk supervisor, and front desk manager. Each site is assigned a unique user role beginning with your hotel's site ID and the label of admin. This user role is granted to the individual required to create and manage users for the hotel within OPERA Cloud. Last, the unique user role with your hotel's site ID and the label of OPERA Cashiering is assigned to users who will perform cashiering functions within OPERA Cloud. This role will automatically create a cashier ID and assign this number to the user upon first login. The OPERA Cloud environment requires user management within two separate access points. Identity management is used to create and manage user setup. In addition, users have the ability to request access, and you'll review and approve user requests from this screen. In addition, you'll assign the necessary user roles or permissions here. Last, you'll use this section to manage your own user password and challenge questions as needed. Next is the Role Manager module, where you will manage hub assignments and view the cashier ID number assignments after the user first logs into the application. There is a process to follow when creating new users. Here's a high-level overview. First, the hotel administrator for the hotel will access the Identity Manager module via OPERA Cloud to create a new user and assign the necessary user permissions, also known as roles. Second, the hotel administrator will access the Role Manager module via OPERA Cloud to assign the hub access to the user. Third, the user will first log into OPERA Cloud and will access the Identity Manager module to answer challenge questions and set their desired password. Upon completion, the user may re-log into OPERA Cloud, where they have access to the application. And as mentioned earlier, if this user has the OPERA cashiering role assigned, the cashier ID is created and attached to the user upon first login, and the hotel administrator can see this new cashier number and assignment through the Role Manager module. Now that you understand a few of the basics around users, let's review how to build users, beginning with the Identity Manager module. After signing into OPERA Cloud, we will access the different modules from the main screen. First, to access the Identity Management module, we will click the sidebar menu option in the top left corner. Then click the option for Identity Management, which will open a new tab on your browser. Identity Management has a number of tools available. In this video, we will use the Manage option located in the top right corner. The Manage options presents you with the Users tile, which will allow you to manage and disable existing users, as well as create new user accounts. The User section of Identity Manager allows administrators to create and manage individual property users. Let's click the Create button to begin the process of creating a user. The Create User screen is divided into sections: Request Information, Basic Information, and Account Settings. Only the fields marked with an asterisk are required. Our first required fields are the user's first and last name. Next is the email address. This needs to be the user's individual email address, which is used for initial user access and password resets. The organization will be your hotel's Wyndham Site ID. Finally, in the Basic Information section will be the user type. Choose the closest option that you have from the provided list of values. Next is the Account Settings section, where we will define the user login. The user login will be the hotel's Wyndham Site ID, followed by the user's first name and last initial. For example, the username for John Smith at Site ID 30832 would be 30832 John S. You will define a temporary password for each user you create. Click the information icon next to the password field to display a list of the password requirements. Review the list and create a temporary password based on these requirements. Enter the password into the password field and again in the Confirm Password field. And finally, for staff that enroll guests into the Wyndham Rewards program, simply add their Wyndham Rewards member number in the Employee Number field. This feature makes it easier than ever for your team to participate in the Rewards Circle and enroll guests into the award-winning Wyndham Rewards program. After all the required fields have been completed, click Submit. We are returned to the user page displaying a list of hotel users. In some instances, it may be necessary to click the Refresh button to update the name list to display the newly created user. The user is now listed with the other hotel users. Now that we have created a user, we will need to add hotel-level roles so they can perform specific tasks within the system. To assign roles, click their username hyperlink. Click the Roles tab. Then, click on the Request Roles button. In the Search field, enter your Wyndham Site ID and click Search to display available hotel-level roles. Scrolling down the page, the roles for your hotel are displayed. As a reminder, anyone that will create or manage users will need to have the unique hotel admin role, and if they will be handling any financial transactions, which include viewing financial activity, they will also need the unique hotel OPERA cashier role. Also, as a reminder, the parent roles do not include the child roles. It is important to assign all of the roles the user will need to perform their duties. For example, a night auditor would need the RES reservation, the FDA front desk agent, the NA night audit, and the OPERA cashier roles assigned. Based on the user's job responsibility, locate the roles needed for the user. It may be necessary to use the page links at the bottom to view more roles. Once a role is located, click the Add to Cart button to add the role to the cart. Continue to add additional roles as needed. Once all the roles have been added, scroll up and click the Next button. The cart is displayed listing the roles selected in the previous steps. To finalize the request, click the Submit button. An email is sent to the user with their user login information and temporary password. We've completed the first step. Now we need to grant the user access to the hotel in OPERA Cloud by assigning the user a hub. Let's review Role Manager, where users will need to be attached to a hub and given permissions to make reservations. Like Identity Management, we access Role Manager through the sidebar menu option in the top left corner. Then select Role Manager. Once in Role Manager, click Manage Users from the top menu. Search for the user by inserting their username in the User ID field. Then click Search. The user is displayed in the list below. Click the vertical ellipsis for the user and select Edit. In the Act As field, select Reservation Salesperson, and the At field will populate automatically to Property. This allows the user to edit and make reservations in OPERA Cloud. In the Hubs section, click the Manage button to assign a hub to the user. Hubs are the environments in which the hotel lives in OPERA Cloud. If the user does not have access to a hub, they will not be able to access their hotel in OPERA Cloud. Select the hub in the Available panel. Use the down arrow button to move the selected hub from the Available Hubs section to the Selected Hubs section. Then click Select. Notice the Cashier ID field is blank. If they have been granted the unique Wyndham Site ID Opera Cashier role, OPERA Cloud will automatically create a Cashier ID and attach it to the user after their first login. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and click Save. Now that we have completed the user's setup in both Identity Manager and Role Manager, the user can now log in and set their password and challenge questions. Let's review the user's first login. The user will receive an email with their new username and temporary password. Using this information, the user will log in to OPERA Cloud. Once logged in, the user needs to access Identity Management to set their password and set up their challenge questions. If the user was assigned the Opera Cashiering role, the system automatically creates a Cashier ID and assigns it to the user in the background. The user setup process is complete. Let's review what we have covered in this video. You now understand the OPERA Cloud user basics, including terms and definitions, user roles, module review, and the new user process overview. In addition, you now know how to create a new user and assign the necessary permissions using the Identity Manager module. You know how to assign the user the necessary environment and reservation access using the Role Manager module. And finally, you understand how the user first logs in and sets their desired password and challenge questions. Thank you for your time and attention during this video.